Good morning. We start with Lama Tsongkhapa Guru Yoga from the small booklet. From the heart of the Savior of 100 deities of Tushita, on a peak of cloud resembling a cloud of extremely white fresh curd, King of Dharma, omniscient Losandrapa, please come here together with your sons. In the sky before me, on a lion throne, lotus and moon, my perfect pure Guru smiles with delight. Supreme field of merit for my mind of faith, please abide for 100 yons the spread of teachings. Your holy mind has intelligence that understands the full extent of objects to be known. Your holy speech with its excellent explanations is an ear ornament for those of good fortune. Your holy body is radiantly beautiful with glory renowned. To you who are meaningful to see, hear, and remember, I prostrate. Pleasing drinking water, various flowers, fragrant incense, lice, scented waters, and so forth. Ocean of clouds like offerings, both actually arranged and mentally emanated. I offer to you the supreme field of merit. Whatever non-virtue of body, speech, and mind, especially those opposite to the three vows that I have collected from beginningless time, I confess each and every one with fervent regret from my heart. You strove for much learning and practice in this degenerate age, and made your freedoms and richnesses meaningful by abandoning the eight worldly concerns. Savior, we sincerely rejoice in your extensive deeds. Perfect, pure, holy gurus from the billowing clouds of wisdom and compassion in the sky of Dharmakaya, please let fall a rain of profound, extensive Dharma upon the receptacle of those to be subdued exactly as they need. May whatever virtue I have collected benefit the teachings and all transmigratory beings, and in particular may it cause the essence of perfect, pure Losandrapa's teachings to shine forever. Sajibuki Chujimeto Tramri Rablingji Nidegempadi Sange Jindu Mite Uwa Hidrokunamda Shinla Pasho. By the merits of having offered this mandala to Lama Tsongkhapa and his two sons, may I, my family members, and all sentient beings be able to meet, practice, and actualize the teachings of the victorious one, Losandrapa, who had a morality of eminently pure way of life, was courageous and extensive conduct of the sons of the victorious ones, and accomplished the yoga of two stages of supreme bliss and emptiness. Idam Guru Ratna Mandalaka Niryatayami. By the force of having fervently requested in this way, hollow beams of white light are emitted from the hearts of the perfect pure Father and Sons, and combining into one enter my crown. White nectar, the color of milk, flows from the opening of tube of white light, cleansing all my sicknesses, spirit harms, negative karmas, obscurations, and their imprints without exception. My body becomes as pure and clear as crystal. So we recite 5-line Miktsema 3 times. Migme tsewe ten chen chen rezik, drime kempe wampo champalya, dupo malu chonze sawenda, gache kepe tsungen tsongkapa, losandra pe shapla sowade. Migmetse weten chen chen resi, trime kempe wampo jampelia, dupo malu jonze sawenda, ganche kepe tsungen tsongkapa, losandra pe shabla sowade. Migmetse weten chen chen resi, trime kempe wampo jampelia, dupo malu jonze sawenda, ganche kepe tsungen tsongkapa, losandra pe shabla sowade. And prayer for the swift return of Lama Zopa Rinpoche by His Holiness the Dalai Lama. Peerless teacher and assembly of the children of the victorious ones, Shravakas and Pratyeka Buddhas, victorious Losang, father and sons, along with the lineage masters, all the objects of refuge of infinite lands, please bestow the virtue and goodness of accomplishing this prayer here and now, holding and spreading the Muni's precious and complete teachings. Through explanation and practice, you are the armor of patience that is never discouraged. Incomparable, venerable Guru, to you I make request. While striving single-pointedly for the sake of the victorious one's teachings, the sole gateway through which all benefit and happiness emerge, and for mother living beings, you suddenly departed to peace. What a great loss! Nevertheless, through the undeceiving truth of the blessings of the ocean of the three jewels, and the great waves of bodhicitta of the children of the victorious ones, may the smile of a reincarnation swiftly beam in a glory for fortunate disciples.
Sanji Chodang Sojin Chonum La Changju Bardu Dan Japsun Dagi Chushi Geban the Dagi Rolam Penshi Sanji Drupara Sho Sanji Chodang Sojin Chonum La Changju Bardu Dan Japsun Dagi Chushi Geban the Dagi Rolam Penshi Sanji Drupara Sho Sanji Chodang Sojin Chonum La Changju Bardu Dan Japsun Dagi Chushi Jeban the Dag Roland Penshi Sanjin Drupara Sho Kangi Tuzini Zone Tawa Tamche Pambi Shere Tambi Chun Denze Kodam De La Changze Lo Namo Laye Kedan Ludan Jingi Tripang Dada Mi Kenam Dan Jawa Kunji Janam Chizamba Tamche Kedu Dagi Chuden Do. Good morning, everyone. Shop delay.
Shop delay again.
And Zap Pasang Shoki Takpa 2 Degoras Ra Tinza Kenzola Tenden Chewadin to Ujiris. Once Chewatin Chevana. I need Tokpachik Segiravasra. Tokpachik Sevana. I need Langtomam Sheriff Chiki Gores.
Good morning. So we meet regularly every Friday, and I'm sure you'll have questions. So I want to really encourage you to ask questions, because the asking of questions helps improve your wisdom or your intelligence, as well as develop your special insight. So I encourage you, when you have questions, please do ask. That's all.
Music Tevartana. The Karitolera, that Taji Kanji, and then number Sanji Chu. The number Sanji Chu Tony. Chu Kandaji make Tola Chodan Chore. On a number Sanji Chu the 아니 딱 로. 간다스 총유메 간다스 달유메 어머는 넘버 산지비 취어드 냠리친 가오갈라 팽기유메 간다스 팽기유메 아 가리 톨이야 로 아니 노다가 가리 톨이야 아 저당 초그러와스 테니 대진가시 덴딩이 저렌제 마투사 덴데 용시그레스 디 렌제 마투나 ngalaya pensares ani nge yange samtan jira garo ani mang cheji nge lenja tuya ge rewachi ge
So I encourage you to ask questions and ask questions about any topic in the Buddha Dhamma, not just what we have in the text before us, but any topic of the Buddha Dhamma. And think, and any question you may have as to why about a topic or how about a topic. For example, how to practice or put into practice a particular topic, or what benefit comes from a particular topic, or why something is important, or whether something's important. So any questions that you have about any topic of the Dhamma, please do ask. And for sure, there'll be some questions that I am unable to answer. And I hope there are some questions I am unable to answer, because that will give me something to think about and contemplate over the coming days.
Sorry, I ask a lot of questions, so keep it a bit short. But since Geshe said we can ask any question, with the refuge prayer, in the English, often it starts with "I go for refuge until enlightenment." Did you know the translation? And I'm just wondering if Geshe can, for the first line, can give us like the kind of explanation of what it actually says in the Tibetan, because I feel like maybe you get a different feeling if you have the direct, like what each word says in the first line of the refuge prayer. Sorry, it's a little abstract question, but we do it every day. So
yeah. So it's a question about the refuge prayer in the first line, which is I go for refuge until I'm enlightened. Is that correct? I go for refuge until I'm enlightened. So can Geshe say a little bit more about that?
Well,
so it's that line, right?
That's the way that it's translated in the English,
yeah.
But you know, Sangye, for example, doesn't say I.
Yeah. Okay.
And neither
okay.
does Chodang or Sogchi or Chognamla. So
yeah. Yeah.
So
okay. Deni kong nga zo kiamgyo dan senki kedu deni nga zo sangi chonan soki chonan na de dunki yare. Deni the inchike the tigrup dampo perke tokla tigrup nipa de o tikango na tikang nipa. Deni the inchi tig dampo nga segire. Kasi inchike tokla nga zo nga gurgires. Nga mena deni selpo mares. Perke tokla gurgi mares. Deni kongi o nga di perke tatu di dang inchike dang madraware. Kasi nga dongimindu. Yamina dak dongimindu. Deni perke tokla tikang dampo sangi chodan soki chonamla. Inji yik tokla tikang dampo jansu bado dak ni kyapsuchi. Jetang kong noto sorki yare.
Ten nong chugi ngi mares ra diko sikjo rodan chi kebare ma nga tyongor pepe nama da ni se da di nga la ko gores da ni kyapsu chi se da di nga la ko diko sikjo rodan jire mo do tyandalang gawa yashi yadama yo mares tadi.
The answer is quite brief. The first line in English, I go for refuge until I'm enlightened, is the second line in Tibetan. So the second line in Tibetan, Janchup Badu Dakni Kyabsuchi. This Dakni is the I. So there is the I, but the order of the English is different from the Tibetan, hence the confusion. But the again, emphasize though, the meaning of the English is completely correct. Just the line order is different. Because then just to say in addition, in English, if we were to say, so it matches the Tibetan to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. I go for refuge until I am enlightened. That would match the Tibetan, but it sounds not quite so natural for us. Hence, the original translators put it in this particular order.
Thank you. Yeah, this is how I practice it, because I recite with the Tibetan, but I just wanted to check that's actually matches. So yeah, that's good. That's how I do it.
Then tu chena nga di dam dapo nyam len che giare, then di per ke dang ijike dang drawa yona mena dang ye tok pin then tu chena.
Yeah.
Geshe mentioned, I think it was yesterday, about the offering of body, speech, and mind, and said it was really important, or most important. And I just wondered what contemplation the students can do to have the best practice of offering body, speech, and mind.
Then kese mani kening kar kerengi nga so nga so getuk yin, then nga so chupa puli ki ze de nanglola yaksha nga so soso lu ngak sem pu kides de yaksha de. Then di qualities mangwa sang asungurakan so nga so soso lu ngak sem pultu nga so kari samgades. Di samlotanggares. Then di kola kaloktangaraktan.
nganzu lunga yiksum ya pudi kandasam tangore sedre. Ah.
De.
Tire da pena taji tanganzu yongda ke peshawana jizun mela reba tawati. Jizun mela reba ki ani ku song tuk slawar da shesa gyana ku song tuk. Majana lunga yiksum. Da lunga yiksum di ani lama marbala ya da puwares. Lama marbala ya. Lama marbala puwandi. Lama marbe ani chawakari chebayana. Ani chodan tumbajita. Ani simjana pembachik. Tiang ani tawada tamjin kimi kumbang tobala ya. Penyagi chawaji mato. Mapenyagi chawaji chigiyo mares. Tichionde da jizo mela reba lu nga yiksum ya lama marba lo pyondi da lama marbe ani jizo mela reba lega kang cheba di chö da tomba chik nang chik warwas ro kolong dia pige ani teba yo meba chik ro lama gar nang sona ya ani tesam da toba zawni ni meba lama kashin chubya 아니 로드기니 다 대바 요함에 봤어 차고라서 두 지원디 아니 지즈멜레르바다 이게 류피버다 류디 꼭니 캐로야 니키요 말스 이냐 류 차와 칸 체바디 아니 근데 지즈멜레르바 상마지 콩 투규라야 니문 독송 여데 니문 독송기 샤원도 마송와 아니 말비 곰바 나신친 류 차와디 체야 고급 정으로했어 라 대난신기 nga 아니 이 상도 당도 참말로 아니 뉴문도 송기 샤원도 모송와 라마 마르비기 아니 퉁도 난신신 제 차로 왔다리 딜다
You understand the kind of attitude to have when offering your body, speech, and mind. We can call to mind the illustration of the famous Milarepa, because in his biography it accounts how he offered his body, speech, and mind to his Lama Marpa. And his motivation with doing so was that I have complete trust in you, my Lama Marpa. I have complete trust in you that everything that you ask of me, I will do. I have stable faith in you. My faith is free of hesitation or doubt in that whatever you ask of me to do, I know will be in accordance with the Dharma. I know it will be to benefit sentient beings, and I know it will aid my progression towards enlightenment for the sake of all sentient beings. Therefore, by offering my body, speech, and therefore I offer my body, speech, and mind to you. So what is implied in this attitude is that it's not that his physical body is placed is given to Mapa, but whatever advice Mapa gives, Milarepa will follow as if he were Mapa, in the sense of if it was something to do that required physical activity, Milarepa would do it as if his body was Mapa's body, or if it was to engage in something with his speech or with his mind, meditation or study, then he would do it without any hesitation, any doubt, because it would be as if his body was Mapa's, as if his speech, as if his mind were Mapa's, and therefore by offering it, he is removing any distance between the two. And he's doing this on the basis of a stable faith of trust, which is free of any doubt in the validity of the instructions or the advice that will come from Matpa.
That is a Nanzogi Dai Injimi Pugors Lago Maras, that the ya me Sam Nomalia, Namdon Dramatish and the Choyo Maras, and Chedan didn't choyores, the Lord Gug normally choyores. Pena ani Choji Pande Adishagi, Loma, Drumton by Gavin Johnny, said Yores. Drumton by Gavin Johnny, Chedan Tawamaris, Rokon Geninjirendo, the Genin Chechin. Ani Yinaya Kongi Kotse Kambu Dilia, so did Lame Shabshishin. Korang Zayo Lama, and it Choji Pande Adishaki. The Choji Pande Adisha. Choji Pande Adishaki Shabshu Shuchene Shun Digi Lama like Kang Gova, Lame Kang Songba. And it Tikoran Tolaya, Dramado, Korangi, and a Rawang Tony. Ani Legachia dan chicken droya zawni nangyo samaras. Tindile teni lame shab toshia korang tone ani tobi yonde. Setelaya tibi komban top yores that did lord you kill korang kutse telaya that tobi yonde some gimekeva tron yores. The bigilaya chik such a cook and gom cabinet, then a page and it Tindi can now your mares. And Lamish have to Koran, she dig Lami Chile, then Lamish have to Koran, Shiondi, Lami Kanangioba, Lami Karisungioba, Lami Karugongioba, the Samanti, and Jayungras. Then Jeondi Taran, Giti Yani, and Jeondi Taran Semler, and you comedy and Semler, the top of the Kiyungos there was.
Furthermore, to say that it's not that one has to make an offering like this. It's not one that one has to think in this way, because we all have our own dispositions, our own inclinations, things that we are more comfortable with or we find an aversion towards. So that's one point to make, that it's not that one has to do this. But nevertheless, one is encouraged to train one's mind in this way. So to give another illustration, great Lama Atisha, and Geshe showed a painting of Lama Atisha on the card. His heart student was a non-ordained student called Dron Tompa. And Dron Tompa, he committed his life to Atisha, served him, attended on his Lama, on Atisha. And the way that he served his his lama was not as in someone who's doing a job or doing what he's told like a good employee, but rather he surrendered himself to his teacher because of this stable, abiding trust in his teacher, in Lama Atisha. And thereby, whatever Lama Atisha advised him to do, he would do it without any hesitation or apprehension or doubt. He would, and thereby, the way he lived his life wasn't of thinking, perhaps in a few years' time I'll do that. Maybe I should study this. Maybe I should go there. These kinds of individual plans that one makes. He didn't do any of this because he had surrendered himself, given himself over to Lama Atisha. So this is another illustration of someone who had offered their body, speech, and mind to their Lama. That's okay.
Tirda ra lami shabdo shon dige pigi lami pembo machachi ra kaji lami shabish kaji lama pombo chado ra lama demandro de gyu de machi de chis lama pe so kandor chingi cha di chanan digyo mares kaji lami shabish shon dige lami lama la ya so lunga izu pon dige lami kang somba ti tola ya lami kang namba ti tagana iche chinan roba na Lami chinlab sayadi semlun juguyo saris. Ro, di gyasi gyadamba, di keba shodwa, mada kashi meze kambola ya, lo sumju shivjila ya, lami tigla dechine. Ani, tando pe semba dur doya tindi. Ani chakdo sawo, ngargye sawo, ani tindi yungu ores. Di kansana, ani lami chinlab semla manjugu tagare mada, lami chinlab semla juguan, di chago mares. Ro, di lama pe, lama karso daji sosu on su duch so sosu gi pe karso da re sosu pombo chech dichna digo mares
What should be understood here is this isn't about serving one's Lama in the sense the Lama says, you do this, you do that, and the Lama acting like a boss. This isn't the idea here. It's a little more subtle than that. It's rather whatever the teacher says, the student readily does, and does so not out of this wish to be a good student, but does so because of their stable trust or faith in their teacher. So therefore, without any hesitation or apprehension or doubt, they will follow the advice of their teacher. So not all students find themselves in this position. For example, some live with their teacher, and they may live with their teacher for many years, but their afflictions just grow. And this is because despite serving their teacher, they do not receive the blessings from their teacher because their mind is closed. They haven't opened themselves to the teacher. So therefore, they end up staying their own boss, staying their own boss. And therefore, there is this separation between them and the teacher. So here again, the style of practice is not one of master and servant, where the Lama bosses around the student, but rather from the student side, they open themselves up, become completely receptive to the advice from the Lama. And the advice from the Lama is readily followed without hesitation, doubt, or debate. That's all.
Jizun mela reba dang, drum domba gyawin jonela sokbala, eni lami kang nangba ti pe karso ta tsuk dukur wachimado, tsuk dukur sana hakora ta, lami kang songba ti tagarang, ta gyacha gyatamba re samsam rajimado, ta ji atiri ngi lami nodrogo de tida mare samsam ki sem nonala ya, tsawa nini yosa mares. Tindri la tembi ki sem tsama tsangyang ki toni, lami shabdo shiondi, eni lami chenlab singiti. Kanji sem lan chukuyo res. Ani re penang tangi kal tongyo res, ngusu kal tong res na, be jana jiga da, tanganzu ngusu tongya di, ngaranso lama sohormuchi chamzu dan Roger yora Roger Bendobo Roger kongi ene rumbuchi shabshi shudan jora rumbuchi teri kawa peguyana ya kawa peguyana su tukwana tukna pene ene tachi tambu tisojido sogorda ina ya rumbuchi tisodel tsawani segmendo as namdu jili tedro na gomba segmendo meshembo pigidile ya pe tukten kamena tu siondi samzala ya 아니 나 사진 통해 가서 되니와 브리스벤에 벨랑을 담발로 되니발 피기게 갈사 간서 맹간지야 갈사들라 쯔다만이 호스피털에 어딜로 되니다 남탕을 배고 남탕 배고 남도다 질리테도 시거다 이나 루무식 피기야 까면나 랍자께도 지디 딱 이게선다 오늘 로저 백깔이었어리 나한테 소르소 이나야다 지 루무질이야지 배 계속 첨부치는 쉬야다 남규때한테 싸워니는 문도 나 오늘 딩에 좀 싸워니는 오늘은 딘디제도 와서 뭐 딘디 소르진 로바이나 아니 수술능아 있음 라마라 퓨처 제라야 딘디치는 로고 워레스 다 딘로바이나 야세자담바 로 베나 루무친도지 트릴야 딱 되는 루무치 강 넘버티 로 나무 소르무치 강 넘버텔야 지수여란지 디코라 gomna rodebana jacha jadama lama sawro mujin nasi chai in barwasra
These illustrations from the past, such as Malaripa and John Tompa, and there are many others, they had no doubt or hesitation in relation to the Lama's qualities. They would have no having no doubts or hesitations, they would not question the advice or instructions they were given because of having complete, heartfelt, sincere trust in their Lama. So to give an illustration that I have directly seen myself, that would be Venerable Raja and the way that he, without question, takes care of or took care of Lama Zopa. So he took care of Lama Zopa, all of Lama Zopa's material needs, making sure that these were done. Rinpoche didn't need to pay any attention to them. But moreover, his a stable, unwavering trust or faith in Rinpoche's qualities was manifestly evident. So to give just one illustration, in Brisbane, Rinpoche was visiting Chitamani Hospice. And from there, he was meant to go to the airport, and Rinpoche was talking and giving advice, and time was passing. And the time to leave had come and gone. And I watched how Rinpoche interacted with, how Raja interacted with Lama Zopa. He never spoke harshly, he never scolded him, he just pointed out, spoke gently. And from this, I could really see an excellent illustration of a student having heartfelt, sincere trust in their Lama's ability. And therefore, there was never any doubt in the Lama's capacity, and therefore the quality of the advice or instruction that was given. That's all.
Then the Rumuji that Zambali Kasakala Pegora. Ani that Chamzo Roger, the Rumuji Yam to Kadin Chergo, Rumujilaya Naviagi gum ra gum ngai na trung ji ora sa
Gam wo die halme so gam na ya tuk
back
ale
back nga tuk ji ora la sa ten da michi ni ge back nga tuk ji ke ba na ani dilaya bi namda ne pesha mamu te go ra pesha mamu dro ra da dodi ge ani ta shin sara and Rumuji did someone not good and Kuji any kitchen chons testing and it Sharosh shoes are and Rumuji degrees any gum Samato Kachi any Shayagi Kitcha to the Kigo Sama Suji down the Piggy Shayachi Mararis Kitchonji Kim Mugoyagi Kitchonji Chalachi Maras. As in the Chabeda, go down, shut down, ring set that didn't read Rumuji Nayadi, and Rumuji Carbon a day shoe at the Tinipe 아니 텔레야 초심 나라야 고송투된 샤미야더니 린세도 샤 미만 레온디 텔레야 차원디 나치 치원디 아니 개총하지 지면도 아니 루무지다 아니 지 고무동자 카시게 케마레스 먼저디 아니 남준한도 스키온디 티올라야 아니 심진 가주스 아니 고송투된디 올라야 추그레스 디 게자디 아니 사무엘 데비 아니 랍칭기 게자지리 고무동자 카시 케마레스 딘지 송르사지 나 고뇽이여라 그래서 인지보다 아 오늘이라다 딘지 송르지 땅투와나 최래야 오늘이 딘지지 이체다 고송투된래야 딘지 구십 지여봐나 야세야다마 샘교 땅투고서리스 난간주 난신진으로 고송투된래야 대zam게 아니 구십 스나 통샤마시 짜침보임바 소르마시디 다 디니 샘라 진랍진 주고 줬나 백칼에 가고 차고레스
Furthermore, as you know, Rinpoche traveled all over the world. Roger would be accompanying him, taking care of all the arrangements and so forth. And also, Rinpoche would always travel with many large suitcases, maybe 5 or 6. And as we know, when you fly with an airline and you have extra luggage, you have fees to pay for that. So what I saw with Roger is he never scolded Rinpoche, or he never encouraged Rinpoche to say, oh, don't take these things, they're not so important, or don't take your own, you'll have what you need on the other side. He rather trusted Rinpoche, that Rinpoche knew what was of most benefit. And moreover, I know what was in the suitcases. There'll be statues and stupas and many texts and so forth. All of these things which Rinpoche would use, he'd use to bless beings, he'd use in his teachings, in his interactions with others. So there was nothing in these suitcases which you could say was superfluous or frivolous. And Roger's attitude was one of complete trust. He never told Rinpoche, oh, if you do this, there'll be these faults. For example, there'll be these feats. Rather, he understood that by all these holy objects being in the airplane, this would bless everyone, not just in the airplane, but all the beings on the ground below and the oceans below that the aircraft flew over. So here I saw this as a remarkable illustration of a student with deep, stable, abiding faith in their teacher. And moreover, through this faith, I saw the impact that it had on Roger's mind. So this is an excellent way to train one's mind. But to be honest, it is difficult to do. It's easy enough to show respect, to be polite, but what we are striving to do is for it to come very deep from within our heart, that we value our teachers, we value the Buddha Dharma, we value the transformative impact it has on countless beings, and that a value and appreciation is what gives rise to a stable faith. So this is difficult to do, but in an illustration such as Roger, I rarely saw someone who was experiencing the benefit of having cultivated such a mind. That's all.
Peter, quality, you have question? No? You sure? Yeah. Yes. Oh, okay.
You're next.
Yeah, he next to him. No, you need one.
Geshe-la, I come from study background, university. We read lots and lots of books on the same topic. So these texts that you are teaching, I have 3 or 4 or 2 English translations of other commentaries. Is it best for me to keep reading all of these different commentaries, or should I just listen to your commentary now and reflect deeply and meditate just on one commentary, on your commentary that you are giving now? So the question is it best to read widely or to focus more deeply on just one commentary? Thank you.
Can I just ask a question for clarification there? Are you referring to you have many commentaries to the same text?
Yes.
And yes, okay, then that's clear. Thank you. Then again, talking lapse again, 직전에 talking lapse again. Then dela ngazo dep mampo logiki komsi yore. Dep mampo logiki komsi yore. Then kerenki lamem drink di la nga gongtrel mampo yo. Then lamem drink di nga gongtrel mampo yo. Drelwa, huh? Gongtrel.
Gondel mambu yes.
Yeah. Then kari yakshare nga lamem drinki gongtrel drame dra logie dang yamena nga konso gongtrel denso chikyang malog keranki sungse chikpushu dang keranki sungse o selse de chikpu shu ye dang samlotang. Then yangmena keranki sungse chikpu shu ye dang samlotang yamena nga gongtrel drame dra loye dang keranki sungse shu. Dini nanglola gagi yagarepe.
다 nganzu lamram din de jamgalam tsonga bachime song ra jamgalam tsonga bachime song tangan jamgalam tsonga bachime song la ya chenin chigiros
Chenin?
nyamnin chigor töba samba komba chigiros tichidi ta kanjin jamgalam tsonga bachime nanshi chona samsong lodi injimi gogudo asara tanga jeromuji nanshi chona samsong chona sho se malam gyab tubayna 베마스와 약보여레스 드니 텔라 템비 아니 쭈디 라 단 장관놈 중가버 준비 송 되기들에 지 약보 스타트 봐나 아니 참만 통토야지 산지 좀 된 뒤에 너나나 가르송도 산지 좀 된 뒤에 규원 나가나나 가르송도 공부를 두고 가르송도 공부를 두고 따와 가르렌도 아니 아리안 대와 따와 가르렌도 가르송도 반된 다와 잡아 가르송도 콩기 따와 가르렌 용수 줘봐 용수 줘봐 신투야 저랬어 신투그랬어 다 야차야다마다 디 녜랍샤바 마라다 디 아니 베나탕 안주다 단 텐산 잠블링라야 아니 지 라마타 체샤사디 야워무치라와스 야워무치 가르송 거를 땅가 제르무치 난신 지긴스 제르무지 아니 파이지바인스 nga kesane 제르무지 총살이야 아니 따셔는 저나 니마치니 레그레스 타니브레스 nga 제르무지 난 지긴 송고야 균센디 내가 두고라스라
Then 그러나 승리대 망쳐야 고성에 돼야 지켜. Then 모란 라면 drink di 노스 로그데. Then 캠그럼세 제름베세 공기 데프티 로기에 드라보 공 셀답거데스. 이니 공절 셈퍼 양 로그기 이나미나 게 데서포 하크마송. 디 양 로그데스.
디 고고 디 찍라 때데바나 라다 쭈디 시디 쭈디 그나 소술 함전 남아서 또디 제로무지 송듯이 아니 디기 단어라야 고 마고나 되니 아니 제가 가주스 때 두바이나야 나가도지 데시기야지 지고 많이 봐 데시 가주스 망부 년 두바이나야 펜도 체인 그래스
Then it's self goson The text that we're referring to here is the middle Lamrim by Lama Tsongkhapa. So this is a text we need to put into practice. Putting something into practice, or literally the Tibetan is to gain experience of, means hearing, reflecting, and meditating on the meaning of the text. So this word hearing, we should understand with synonyms: hear, listen, and study. So these are the synonyms. So hear, listen. So these refer to oral teachings, and study, the way to actually, it's not just hearing, but it's studying, putting it into your mind. So that's that, hearing together with reflecting and meditating. This is how we put the text into practice, or literally we gain experience of this text. This is the purpose of the text. And so to do that well, so just to say, so therefore it's not a mere academic exercise. It's meant to be integrated within one's mind, put into practice, gained experience of. So what I encourage you to do at the outset is, or throughout rather, when you engage this text, imagine that you are receiving this text directly from Lama Tsongkhapa, that he is the one guiding you in this text. So whether you're reading it or reading commentaries on it, or whether you are receiving oral commentaries on it, imagine this is coming to you directly from Lama Tsongkhapa. And to the extent that you can do that, really great benefit will come for the impact that the text will have on your mind. So that's the second point to encourage you in. The first was just to explain that we need to put the text into practice, and that has the three components of hearing, reflecting, and meditating. And the second is, whilst engaging with this text, both directly and indirectly, to imagine that it is coming to you from Lama Tsongkhapa, maybe by other conduits, such as a printed book or an oral teaching, but directly from Lama Tsongkhapa. So that's the second point. Moreover, by understanding the Lamrim well, one will come to understand the entire Buddha Dharma extremely well. To add to that, as you read the Lamrim or hear teachings on the Lamrim, an interest in the entire range of the Buddha Dharma will grow. So therefore, I encourage you to read other commentaries on the Lamrim, as well as other Dharma texts. So, and by read here, it's really read not like a novel, but read like you study. So you hear as you read and you reflect on the meaning. And in this way, you'll come to understand by reading the Lamrim and commentaries, other commentaries to the Lamrim, you'll deepen your understanding of the views and the presentations by great masters such as Nagarjuna and Aryadeva, as well as the entire breadth of the teachings of Sutra and even Tantra. So therefore, to directly answer your question, yes, definitely, I encourage you to read other commentaries as well as to receive these oral teachings. And the way to engage is to hear, reflect, and meditate. So hearing, again, includes reading and studying, and then you reflecting on the meaning as you engaging with the texts, whether in oral teachings or written teachings. And then a final point to make is that these days, the supreme teacher of the Buddha Dharma in our world is His Holiness the Dalai Lama. His Holiness himself has said that he reveres Lama Tsongkhapa. He was born near to, in the same part of Tibet that Lama Tsongkhapa is from Amdo. He has been as a young boy to the place where Lama Tsongkhapa was actually born. So the supreme teacher who's physically present in our world, His Holiness, he reveres Lama Tsongkhapa. So I say this also just as further encouragement to take the advice that I've given and see that all the teachings you engage, whether oral or through a book, relate to them as if you're receiving these teachings from Lama Tsongkhapa himself. That's okay.
Ani Karangi Mixima Dangoras, Bemasiva, Yaguaras, Lama Tsongkhapa, so step that Chisosu Lamadan, Lama Tsongkhapa, the Chigway, Samsonki, Mevachetuna, Bemasiva Yaguares. Ani Mixima Yan Sat, Teni, Ani Lamram, that's so lamram re. Ani jerum chigi lamram gun jevala ya penata kyabjin phonga deshin yimbo ge lamram namdra lagsan di inchi tola yorwas. Teni tanda ima arile shooting namu sobarum chigi gire ken sobala ge lamram di inchi tola tuzu pe yabu yosares. Tigiti ra tigiti ma kontin. Ani gyawarum chigi lamram kundu chokdik mambuchi chiwarta di inchi tola le tuyome mishirwa di yobayana peyu tola yoba tuzun pe masiwa kasigo kodebu yabu shuyore tenji chini tini ani kansam jila susugu dom gyabtu kores pena yonden shigi mandrawji tola ya lamram chansan so dom gyabne susu yonden shigi mandrawji pe lamram chansan jima gom tuya chik chagres ro tini yabu peyores tara
In Jensen she gima de kola samlo tangore yamana logore. Di jatsi komason?
benan jewa mambu tena kansam jila ani yonden shigi ma deondi lamram sama di toni tsu gom tuya chi chayungres.
Dene koso. Koso. I encourage you, as we did before our oral teaching today, and we always do, but also when you just at home reading either the Lamrim or commentary, engage in first visualizing Lama Tsongkhapa, in that you will be engaging in the teaching or text with the apprehension that you're receiving these teachings directly from Lama Tsongkhapa. So imagine Lama Tsongkhapa. Also imagine him as indivisible in nature with your Lama. So you're imagining or you're visualizing Lama Tsongkhapa and you're visualizing Lama Tsongkhapa and imagining him as being indivisible in nature with your Lama. With this then, clear in your heart, recite Miksema, receive those blessings, and then receive the oral teaching or read the Lamrim itself or read commentaries to it. And in terms of there's several commentaries I would recommend. There's Liberation in the Palm of Your Hand by Pabonka Rinpoche. So that is excellent. And then what is really supremely good commentaries are by a modern Geshe Tsultrim from Wisconsin, who lived in Wisconsin, and he was one of the teachers to Lama Zopa. So Geshe Tsultrim's commentaries, these are a number of volumes and have been published. These are excellent too, so I'd recommend those. And then there are also a number of commentaries, shorter commentaries to the Lamrim by His Holiness. So these are easy to understand. They're very approachable. So whatever's available in English by His Holiness, I'd recommend that too. And then lastly, I'd also recommend short Lamrim texts. These are condensed Lamrim texts, such as Lama Tsongkhapa's Foundation of All Good Qualities. So this is very short. It's slightly more than a dozen verses, 14, 15 verses. You can read this slowly and reflect on the meaning, because the entire Lamrim is presented in 14 or 16 verses. So the entire Lamrim is presented there, and go through the verses slowly, reflecting on the meaning, because having received many oral teachings, read many commentaries, you'll have a good understanding through study and reflection of the Lamrim. Now you can rely on those condensed texts, such as Foundation of All Good Qualities, and use that as a basis for meditation. That's all.
Reda kanji 당난 당 대바싱인디 로 추 돈이 셔바나 베게치 무차고 그래서 로 먼저 당난 장ян도 왔다 당난 장 맨날 나랑게 당난 가르 장교였을라디 니 델야 벤루 춥든 고 콘드샤ং 이래 그러고 쇼치서 나는데 마스터 가든이야 드니 단델야 야갈 mambulegores in kadundang madelia sanimare sa pasan dangi si ani gaga konzu group jileso konzu michonganto michongan nandi nanen ma sa garden ya konzu tuksora teni ngi konzu kalanga yevesle konzu kalanga mesa ani show sagana show ngi kala yemen tagos ngan kala zong phosa jer kala tebe yewes nanda me geshila yesa kala tebe yelasra angi jaga de ya kala
the kalaki kolangatis kotom songena the agagawa chonga tula lebson konso gen dan getrug re dene kalaki kola
la
dene di kalaki kolange di yapokomaso
kunzu la nge kunzu kala order nga yewes geje timba kunzu kala order nga mesa 아니 균종 이냠도 쇼 님에게 사간을 깨졌지고스 아니 사간을 깨졌지 봐 칼라 TV 예베스디 난다 메사가 보사절고 칼라 예사 아니 콘솔라 닝구 칼라 스테임바 나랑 거네 니 셈나 가르상 거스나 니 야가 펜루 속이 다 송래야 니 다 로망부 jambo chira dangi chema chije de singyo mar dangi jambo mambu chero ngone gi ta sam gi mekebi keba dindira da zo tinzangi jaga midya pendu dozo da yan jewa mambu shujora ta thari gi jewa jero jaga mitso jaga pendu so da ya ni region chikba thak chikba jewa mambu jora tinzangi jaga milaya kushib cheba na 콘솔라 90 로그레 삼고당이 니샘들이 콘솔라 니지 표바이나 벤루솔이야 산지 좀 된들이야 표하기 지 표기 제와지 차그리에서 나 콘솔들이 삼고당이 된디 삼고이라 이 콘솔 디표임바 닝고 셀라지 표임바 빼 가고 총서 콘솔 나랑 가고 쇼정스다 딘디 제와나다 기부다 간지 샘바 기부인 것도 아서라
I think it was the first piece of advice that I gave, which was that at the outset of your engaging with the text, again, whether it's in an oral teaching or printed text, to visualize and feel the presence of Lama Tsongkhapa, to receive his blessing as if one were receiving the teaching directly from him. This is really, really important to do. It's certainly something that I do in my own study, my own practice. And here it's a little easy. We have the 17 pandits from India in the garden, and I call them to mind. So we have the statues there representing them, but when I'm in my room, this is who I call to mind to receive their blessings, their interaction when I read texts. So this is an important way to start your engagement with the Dhamma, with each session of the Dhamma. And a weekend past, maybe it was on the Saturday or Sunday, I don't remember directly, a group of Indians came here, maybe 15 or so, and they came and they came and looking around and at the pandits as well, and they invited me to have lunch with them, and I took them down to the cafe, and I insisted that actually I wanted to offer them the lunch. I didn't want them to offer me. I wanted to offer to all of them. And so my reason for doing this is these people, these are people from India, they're Indians. Therefore, I could see from their interaction, they have great respect for the pandits from India. And I believe also they are of the same lineage. They are connected to those pandits. They are from the same country. They have a respect and therefore a connection. So therefore, I wanted to make an offering to them as if I was offering to the 17 pandits themselves. And being able to do so really brought great joy to my heart. It was an offering that I could do with sincerity, and I was really pleased to have the opportunity to do so. So this then I link with the great importance at the start of one's practice of whatever type to visualize and feel the presence of the great masters. That's what I love.
Thank you, Geshe, for taking me out of my comfort zone. But I know you're doing it for my benefit. I think I've opened myself up to it today by having faith in you. So thank you very much. I'm sort of struggling to come up with a specific question, but I do have a question, and I've had a question for a while that I've wanted to ask you in relation to my own practice. And the development of my own practice, which is, and it's probably a question for Geshe actually, which is his view on, the practice of Dzogchen and Mahamudra, which I had teachings in the past, but I've become a lot more motivated to explore it much more recently, with a view to it sort of enhancing my practice, and particularly my understanding of emptiness and Dharmakaya. So I was just wondering what Geshe's view on that is, and about incorporating that into our sort of daily practice. That being useful, and I don't know, is the potential for teachings on that, because I think for me, I don't actually have a teacher teaching me that directly as such. It's more my reliance on what I'm reading and past teachings.
Then I to China Kerang Nala Dria Tang Yakuma song that I did just on Tekia, as an artist not saying. Then he also Yurimpo so Nyamlin Kola Nadria, yeah. Then he didn't Kerang Kuma Jetsang, Nashine Dingser Kiasong, then he Povetsapo Kiasong, then he Kerang Keki Dria the Tangi Kinupaya in to China. Then he Loos Mampo Kiring la Dzogchen Mahamudra de Kola nga de Plog la Sopa. De gain your mare. Ngoma de Cheshe Shusong yini gain your mare. And so Dzogchen Mahamudra Sena Chakchena. Teni Kola de Plog Payin. Indi Kola nga Dria Chikni ya Chik. Nga so nimerere nyamlian je ye dang, dompeni dang churku. De ni, nga so nimerere ki gomja dam namdu, yina mina, di kola chik sung rochnan. Kaze kong teninga dote dan de kiabla kesuse. Kong jokchen dan chakchen de samlotang hi donang chen po yare. Jetang Kong Dompani Dang Churku de Kola Samotang Hido Payades. Jetang di Nimerere Kong Kadunje Yamana Kong Gyabdu. Deni di ni de Dang Namdu Samlot Tangna Matangna Kerandi Kola Chik Kalop Chik Sungrotang. De Mase di Chikje, de Mase Kerangi Natola Jokchen Dang Chakcheni. Sungsha nang rot nang kariensa nga deni la gen yo mare jetang kerang deni nga so chinang rot nang nije
다 이 제가 타마들 렌 당부 이야기한다 쓰러 당이 결혼라야 족첸다 착진 튀고 좋나 그냥 뭐 첨부지 마피는 게 되게 말다스 님바 첨부지 맞는 게 족첸다 착진 튀고 말다스
So I'll answer your second question first, which was, can I teach you the Dzogchen and Mahamudra? Well, I'm not able to teach you the great text on these topics. This is something that I can't do.
지금 멜라레바기 라마 마르베살이야 조다 착진 그 담가 자제친 그 담가 쉬고라서 아니 라마 마르베기 다 간지 무스 칸르송 요메미시 된다라야 아니 지금 멜라레바기 고송 툭섬데 릉아 이섬데 라마 마르발라야 마땅 파르도 담가도 나요 말했어
Just to connect with what we were talking about earlier, with the biography of Milarepa, we see there that he went to Marpa, to his Lama Marpa, to request spiritual instructions or teachings on Mahamudra. And whilst Marpa didn't say this directly, what he implied, what he indicated perhaps, was that only after Milarepa had, with sincerity, offered his body, speech, and mind in the way that I explained earlier to Mapa, would the causes be accumulated for Mapa to teach Mahamudra to Milarepa? That's all.
Redota, Bena, Charge Chembota, Chadan Zoba Chembos Laundi, Ganzu, Ko Tani Mandaji, Remado,
Tani Labna?
Tani, Minsig Girata, Minsig Mandra, Pejuche Amado, Chadan Zoba Chembota, Charge Chembos and the Masena, and then Tirisha de Hangdong Tombanito Yishidi. So Chagorasra, Tomani Tobi, so Chag, the Tomani Tobi Yishi be any missing third big show that Gu Javadoji Chang song. Jiro ah, but Dini, but dig third to Rambadishan and Chuge de Layata, Zochenda, Chagacham was that Dindi that Chuge Manda Yungorosra, that Dindi third to Denny, any the danga de Jimbalaya, Jinsi Yul Loma di Ngone, and Ledon Chembo Chematuna. Sozungun Letanya Benara, and Kanjita Lunga Yisum Tonic, Ya Lamalaya, Ledon Chematuna, Danga di Suzuleta, the Togumundas, Dordina Togumundas. Tensang Anzoge careers and Lame Wankornanta, and it Karichena Jik Rime in Gushasha Roch. Zawin Chik and a free Jangan in Gushasha Roch in Drogoras. So soon when the Kaya Letamagoazilea, Lame when the Mambuji Shegoyata, Mambuji Tigoyachi Chagoras, the Tramushavana, Chitan Chivana, and Dindichi on the Penachalajina, Rime in Baina, Kolayan Tong Yomarata. 공 첨부 지바는 대충 통요로다. 아, 난주 최라연 통매디 망체지 리메 차도건자 통매디기 최디 지고레고 말이 진leb레고 말이스. 다들 내가 지레셨어요. 이내 당 아주 딘디지 라바이나다 캔자오르 소그마도 전다 고마체바나 아니 캔자지오레스.
네, 삼을 가능해 고성 이내야 주야카시야 가세 갸트 갸탐바 고마성 이 담포케나 착천전 적센디 당 동페니 톡베 셋업 데 타니 로카마 톡멘두 케파 쳔포 요마레 제상 또 데피 로가디 고성 데니 카는 도체 창 기콜라승송 데니 도체 창 공 제파포 치크레 데니 공 착천 적센데 취낭성 이네 제파포 로카 이네디 donda 드라포데 디숭펜페 도제 개와 도제 창대 콜라레
야 도지 창기때 규세드 송여라 먼저 아니 규라고 규 나로라야 따지 동분이 도비 셔레 믹스와지 외서세지 아 된기 외서세 믹스지 송여라 다디 디마 믹스 송자데 믹스지는 짜도 된다 소말레 티고고라스 디 티월라야 다 갈제당 깨져서로 지느라 아니 셰샤바이나 아니 로맹은의 지고를 통구요 말에 아니 천동 레기요 말에 말레디 대나진 대발 레기요 말에 이 말레디 천lâm 주고 말했어요.
근데 디스코로랑 디 양카디 타마데 오스고마송 오고마송 데니 솔라만 아소 트리거데스 디 고송 데니 케란 단테 디 타마 카시 숭송 디 살포고마송
지들라 대상기 라마드스 왕권난다 트리시난다 롱난난다 리메치고라스 림바 메고토 아 게루소이나야 라미치시는데 림바 제 모고 샤샤로 하시나 아 림바도 공체스데 케요마디냐 프리 샤샤친 디치온디기 최델라야 통슈레투고 마레스 먼저 잘라던자 잘라 리메진바나 잘라들은 통시를 내고 말하다 그때 공이 잘라지면 통 내기로 대난신기 답이야고 얘기하기로 딘디차고레스
and 제상 디 게톡 숭추데 라 소파 은이 링탕 제기요 마레스 제상 콘소
돌고 말했어 간서 수준 로송 땅고고 말아
네 제상 데니 콘소 디 진랍 야포 슈기요 마레스
nyunga yores.
Nungwa Yores. The first is to say that Mahamudra and Dzogchen, these are very similar. They really just different terms for coming to the same point. So too with the wisdom realizing emptiness, which is presented here in our text in the middle Lamrim. So these we should approach as really just being a different presentation, different terms that comes down to the same point. They all come from the same lineage from Vajradhara, presenting, coming to present the how to cultivate or realize the meaning clear light. So these are just different terms, different approaches to coming to the same point. So this is the first point to make. The second is that it's to come to realize something subtle like the meaning clear light, one needs to be guided by one's Lama. But today, the way of relating from the students to the Lama is not quite like with these illustrations I've given before. This deep, sincere trust, this deep, sincere giving of oneself to the Lama. This isn't quite as it once was, or as is in those illustrations. So, for example, what the Lama gives, he gives initiations, he gives transmissions, he gives teachings, and these are freely given, and for comparative, and you could say they are given for free. I mean, there may be a course fee, but relatively, for the value of what one is receiving, we can say that these are given for free. And from the side of the student, the way that they value what they are given isn't quite there. The appreciation for the actual value of these initiations or transmissions or teachings isn't quite there. And this means the blessings that they receive from the Lama in those events, in those situations, is greatly reduced. Of course, there's benefit. Of course, there are blessings received. But because from the side of the students, they are not so open and so receptive in that they haven't given themselves entirely, opened themselves up entirely, they don't really value what, or they don't quite appreciate what it is that they have access to, and therefore they are not completely open, and therefore they do not receive full the full blessings that they otherwise could receive. So this is an impediment. That's all.
Nima drawing by na tambu pena ta jagag nima chudi pela tarondi jagargi pendruso ani truptop soge ani pela ya chunami kabdula ya wang na ya la soba tindi kabdula ya ani wang yun shuphugoda ti tas bena ani ser be mambu phugoda so wang la ya ser shigda ani yang lama zuma dindi ge yang ani dindi ta chö min kechene ani yang ser mambu shu choya la soba ta ko yagbu yongsa chila yo dubu chi nyamdi yongyora nanzu tanda demba ni she de de konzo demba de tendam demba ni nyamdi yoyo bare mutse na la ya dindi yongores ani wang nang kabdula lama chen de zo go wang nang ondi somma nishi tsengal sa mang che mundo 와 아니 지 원이 르동 제 통이 아니 지 잔주고 쌈다 인지다 동반이 또비 셔러려야 지 냠내 용이 딘지 그마 챈데 아니 용시 질라야 되는 담가 사무도 나온디 되는 니만니말에 겨드거라서 겨드거라서 간선 라마들 소마 챈데 아니 지 쳬챈데 아니 냠냄 뷰다고 chö tsende yinba nanshi lomungo ni chö la ya tindigi ani teba dang ani chentong yoba yinzang dakyon yabu chego ros teni chö digi lamsan sangi ya tseji luji la sangi ya sayada yungu yo sarayas nganzu chi kona drama kona dindi dawaji shoki ko gonda samlu chiya madana ani chö digi senla penga kabu ros
let's contrast our current situation in the modern world with what we know from the text we've read about the more ancient world. If we think back to the time when the Dharma was being transmitted from India to Tibet, from the accounts of that time, we can recognize how those in Tibet deeply desired the Dharma, had a deep and sincere appreciation for the Dharma, a genuine yearning for the Dharma. And this would be reflected in varying ways. And these you'll know from the biographies that you would have read, or the historical accounts of the offerings of great value that were made to the Indian masters. Just a second. to the Indian masters of the day, offerings of large amounts of gold and other precious jewels, in order to receive a single initiation. And this was readily done from the side of the students because they valued so what they wanted, the initiation, and to put that into practice. And from the side of the Indian masters, you could say there were two truths here. There were those who were disingenuous, those who were just interested in the money, but those we probably won't hear about. They would have their name would have long since died out. But there was the other truth, those who were genuine teachers, who received that offering, would have dispersed of it in a worthy manner, but primarily what they received was the open, receptive yearning of their students. Then, when they gave initiations or transmissions or teachings, they would have had a powerful impact on the students. So what we saw then, and we don't really see so much of today, is the abandonment of what's not important, the abandonment of this life's, the striving for this life's pleasures, the abandonment of a mind dominated by this life's problems. What we read in those historical accounts is that there are many genuine seekers who really wanted to become bodhisattvas, who really wanted to have a deep impact on beings. So they, therefore, abandoned this life's concerns, this life's pleasures, this life's problems, and had a deep yearning to cultivate bodhicitta, to develop the wisdom realizing emptiness. So what we should understand from this is that when one has a genuine Lama, they are able to impart so much to their students. The only hindrance that exists isn't from the side of the Lama, but on the side of the student, how open and receptive the student is. So there is this interdependence between the teacher and the student. A genuine teacher has the capacity to guide students rapidly to enlightenment, but the student needs to be receptive. And if they haven't abandoned this life's concerns, that is where their primary mental focus is going to be. So they may receive truly beneficial teachings, but as they go about their daily activities, their mind are on those daily activities, the problems in the world, the affairs in their life, the goings on in their life, rather than on the teachings. And therefore, the teachings actually have very little transformative impact on their mind. Imprints are gained, some merit is gained, but to radically transform the mind, this is impeded from the student side by not abandoning this life's concerns. So here, just to reiterate this point finally, that for one as a student to receive benefit, there is this relationship of interdependence, where the student needs to have a genuine desire. Then with this openness and receptiveness, the Lama can have a transformative impact. That's all, Kendall.
Can be out those. Something, right? Gurumbu something. And Chese pay out those. Tanganzugi Nimalaya Chawakari, Chevanaya, Kari, Tombainaya, any Delia, the Chuku Sendandra, any Tombani Sendandra, Ra 디 아니 피기 내루들 시고레스 내루디 최 남기 내루디 최 간다지네 콜라야 내루직 용거레스 내루 그 란신세고라 내루직다 아니 양 난술이야 직 난술직이 차니 용거레스 난술
Nangsuk?
난술다 내주기 난술 디 초니 아니 베나 뉴몽기 쪽에 작담 몬섬디야 난술 디토니 용거레스 야 난술 야가지기 토니 잠인지 잔주 샘 기엘로 소바야 난술 디토니 아니 용거레스
Jansuk Gisem de Kole Yanka Sungaktan?
잠바다 인지 잔주 샘이어라 기야디야 난술 디토니 나완 디토니 용거레스 아니 다 조바 쳔보스는다 아니 간지 동반이 도베 이시디 내술디 통할 때는 최 간다지네요. 그 내술디 내술 간다지도 디 무슨 비토니 아니 동반이 도베 셔르생이 깨고도 왔어. 인제 소소 가린 돈은 니만 내가 가르쳐 봐야냐. 가른 통과 될이야. 콜레 내술지다 난술지기 찬이 여바디 샘나 여바나 가드이나 디톨이야. 딱지 지야지 용거로 왔어. 딜레바이나 다디 디 남주레스 셰르브레스 디 고고사레스 난준 망치아질이야 난수 코랑 톨니마 로자야 모두 군네술이야 상당 투구요 말아왔어 데네 농중마무 쇼도가사레스 라
I just want to say that was an excellent question. I really appreciate that you asked this. It's a question that clearly you have thought about a lot. So what I want to now say further is that every day, whatever you do, you can keep in mind the Dharmakaya and emptiness. So the way to do this is to take whatever object appears to your mind. Now I'm just going to express that as a translator in a different way to make it clearer. Whatever object appears to your mind. In other words, whatever you are thinking about, that's the object which is appearing to your mind. So it can be something you're seeing, or something you're hearing, or something that you are just thinking about, something in the past or the future. So that's what it means, whatever object appears to your mind. So it's whatever you think about. So whatever object appears to your mind, you ask yourself, does it exist in the way that it appears to my mind or not? Is the way that it abides in reality, is that how it's appearing to my mind or not? So this question to ask in brief is, does this exist in the way that it appears or not? That's the question in brief. So it's whatever you are thinking about, a person, an event, some speech, a taste, something, an object you're seeing, does it exist in the way that it appears to my mind or not? Because the way things actually exist, the way they abide, is empty of inherent existence. They arise from this Dharmakaya. So this is how they actually abide, or instead of abide, you can say exist. The way things actually exist is as being empty of inherent existence, being of the same nature as the Dharmakaya. But is that how it appears to your mind? You ask yourself the question, and then you investigate. This is what you need to do. So this is how Dzogchen and emptiness, we can see how these two presentations really are just a different approach, but they really come down to the same thing. Taking whatever appears to your mind. And this, of course, your mind is active throughout the day and the night, always active, which means that they're always object of thought, or to express it differently, there are always things you're thinking about. So whatever you're thinking about, you just ask yourself, is the way it appears to my mind how it exists? Remembering that how it exists is empty of inherent existence, or as being in the nature of the Dharmakaya. That's how it exists. Is that how it appears? So we use that then as a foundation. Moreover, when because in general, what appears to our mind is mixed with afflictions, certainly with ignorance, but also mixed with afflictions. This is how things appear to our mind. What appears to our mind is those appearances and our afflictions are entwined. The way of existing is in accordance with reality. The way of abiding, the way of existence is in accordance with reality. But that's not how it appears. How things appear tend to be entwined with our afflictions. Also, with virtuous minds, you can look at that. So when you're thinking of something, and virtuous minds are associated with it, love and compassion, then ask yourself, so now how this virtuous object is appearing, entwined with minds such as love and compassion, does this exist in the way that it appears or not? And in this way, you deepen your understanding of emptiness. You cultivate your wisdom realizing emptiness. Cultivate your understanding of Dzogchen through coming to understand how all phenomena actually exist, how they actually abide. So this aids one's realization of emptiness. The mistake we continuously make is we believe that things exist in the way they appear. But what I'm encouraging you to do here is not immediately to believe that things do exist in the way that they appear, that the way they appear to your mind is how they exist. But ask yourself, pause, ask yourself a question. Do they exist in reality in the way they appear? So that is how you can incorporate the wisdom, understanding, emptiness, Dzogchen throughout your day. Because your mind's always active, you can always have objects or thoughts. And this line of thinking, you can apply it any time in your daily life. And in this way, you'll incorporate wisdom, understanding, emptiness, or Dzogchen into your daily life. That's okay.
지준 장본 공부를 지준 장본 공부 가르송을 했을라디 추기 된도 속동와스 추기체들 추 냠nen치 추기체도 소소 가르러 당고는 땅통인지 근데 소소 소르 당고는 땅통인지 딘지글로도 지고 그래서 딜 디어바나 아니 추기 전랍도 주고여서라 띵한주 신고거든 야자야다 뭔가주 신고다 가서 미망부지기 아니 지금 나한테 테스트 직체 라 다 아니 테스트기 펜토 테스트 연구하더니 숙청부 용도고 말았다라 아 마운디 다 난주 펜토 문도 삼성기다 삼루기에 등이 망부 연구하라 아 로카시질에 난주 테스트 양드니 아니 잠샤 아니 베드 유샤 셈슈차라서 디 추려야 누바메바당 추려야 펜토 메바 마힘바 간지 추 제당당 추 돌아야 상무당당 추려야 아니 소수원이 아니 통 가주슬레메 딘지 망부질이야 락레 여바디 야자야다 말이스 I don't know.
교마성. 교마성.
네.
이 갸치갸탐파 이나미능에 하마성 카린사 하카마성.
오케이. 제가 나중에 미망부지기로 추 난주테스치 안 잠샤샤 된대요라.
디고성.
아니 간스는 펜도 문도 삼친.
고성.
펜도 메바디 간스는 소수 문에 추려야 딘디기 짜친 문제 마토야다. 아니 냠내 야부 체 마토야다. 딘지 망부질 때니 펜도도 용투고요 말마도 소수 문은 참고에 천선 참도는 추 문은 싸우는 누구 말했어. 야채야다 말했어.
고성. 데니 응올라 케랑 점퍼기 콜라 칙송송.
야, 송.
데니 콘데 데잉올라 케랑 점퍼기 콜라 송송. 데니 싱동기 콜라 송송. 데잉에 고마송. 제춘 점퍼기 콜라 송송. 데니 데두 나조 셈라 카리니 낭야 아조 셈 카리니 낭라 데칙 송송. 데니 싱동기 콜라 송송. 디 양에 고마송. 제춘 점퍼.
지준 잠박이 신동 거등이 라메송스 때. 지준 잠박이 갈송을 썼네. 추기 된도 속동스 되고서
소가 그 성아 소
속당 추기 된도 속당 추기 체도 소소 르당 것은 땅 듣고 그래서 아 딘디기 로답잖아 아니 추기 때 소소라야 아니 펜도 용 그래서
데니스 아포코서
오케이 아니
So Maitreya, Geshe gave a quote from Maitreya. The meaning is like, it goes something like this. Only once one abandons this life's concerns can the Dharma truly have a deep impact on the mind. So this is important because it's when one abandons the concerns of this life, one gives up, one's mind is no longer dominated by thoughts of striving for this life's pleasures or dealing with this life's problems. These are seen in their truer perspective and one let go of them. Then one has the capacity to deeply engage with the Dharma. And what I have noticed is that there are people who receive some teachings, perhaps they come for a few years or read some books, but then they give up. Oh, it didn't really have much impact on my mind. It didn't really benefit me. So this is an illustration of someone who has not come to recognize the true value that the Dharma could have brought into their lives. Because when one fails to truly appreciate the value of the Dharma, one is not going to be able to put other things aside and apply the Dharma to your mind regularly, continuously. Because it's through repeated training one's mind over a sustained period, that transformation undoubtedly, definitely will come. But if one doesn't really appreciate the Dharma, really value the Dharma, it's going to be quite low down the list of your priorities and not come to mind very often. Certainly, and in this way, it is certain not to be integrated into your mind. Therefore, at the outset, one needs to turn away from the affairs of this life. Okay, that pain.
터잖아
Karen to Jessica. In important.
Final Lamrim dedication. Page 10 in the small booklet. From my 2 types of merits, vast the space that I have amassed from working with effort at this practice for a grand length of time. May I become the chief leading Buddha for all those whose minds' wisdom eye is blinded by ignorance. If I do not reach the state, may I be held in your loving compassion for all life's Manjushri. May I find the best of complete graded paths of the teachings, and may I please all the Buddhas by my practice. Using skillful means drawn by the strong force of compassion, may I clear the darkness from the minds of all beings. With the points of the path that I have discerned them, may I uphold the Buddha's teachings for a very long time. With my heart going out with great compassion, in whatever direction the most precious teachings have not yet spread or once spread have declined, may I reveal this treasure of happiness and aid. May the minds of those who wish for liberation be granted boundless peace, and the Buddha's deeds be nourished for a long time. By even this graded path to enlightenment completed, due to the wondrous virtuous conduct of the Buddhas and their sons. May all human and non-human beings who eliminate adversity and create conducive conditions for practicing the excellent paths never be parted in any of their lives from the purest path praised by Buddhas. Whenever someone makes effort to act in accordance with the tenfold Mahayana virtuous practices, may he always be assisted by the mighty ones, and may ocean of prosperity spread everywhere. Thank you.